Julie Ryan, noted psychic and medical intuitive, is ready to answer your personal questions, even those you never knew you could ask. For more than 20 years, as she's developed and refined her intuitive skills, Julie used her knowledge as a successful inventor and businesswoman to help others. Now, she wants to help you grow, heal, and get the answers you've been longing to hear. Do you have a question for someone who's transitioned? Do you have a medical issue? What about your pet's health or behavior? Perhaps you have a loved one who's close to death and you'd like to know what's happening. Are you on the path to fulfill your life's purpose? No matter where you are in the world, take a journey to the other side and ask Julie Ryan.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Ask Julie Ryan Show. I'm Julie, your host, and I'm so delighted you could join us this week. My intention in doing this show is to provide information, insight, and comfort to people all around the world by helping to answer life's unanswerable questions. And since this is our Thanksgiving show, we are all hopefully having a wonderful time with our families. And I will be doing a little cooking, but we're going to a dear friend's home. And so I don't have to do the heavy lifting, which is great, but I'll help clean up too. I'm good at that. And I hope you're all having a great time with your family too. This week, boy, do I have a fun show for you guys, though. We have Marla Martenson with us, and she calls herself the Mystical Matchmaker. You guys are going to absolutely love her. She's darling. She's smart. She's fun. She's got great advice, and I'm going to let her tell you about what she does with this matchmaker role. But Marla has authored 5 books. She's a podcaster. She's an energy healer. She's a coach. She lives in LA. She's a cool woman. She's beautiful. She's the whole package. She's smart. She's beautiful. She's fun. And she does woo-woo too, you guys. So Marla, welcome to the show.
Woo, thanks, Julie. Well, oh my gosh, what an introduction. I love it.
Well, I always think of the movie Fiddler on the Roof. With the matchmaking thing, matchmaker, make me a match. I mean, I would sing it for you, but I think
and I won't sing it because I can't hold a tune.
Matchmaker, make me a match. Find me a find. Catch me a catch. What do you mean you can't sing? You're wonderful. And so, in this day and age, I've read stories about matchmakers. Usually they're within the context of some kind of a cultural thing. I know there are several cultures that still do that. And it's so fun to meet somebody in America doing it. And so let's start off with just tell us about you. How did you get to this? What do you consider a mystical matchmaker? And how does one become a mystical matchmaker?
Well, so I've been a matchmaker now for about 18 years. I cannot believe it. Coming up on 2 decades. And I'm actually in the process. I've written 3 memoirs, and the first one was Diary of a Beverly Hills Matchmaker, chronicling 1 year of I used to work in Beverly Hills at this high-end matchmaking service. The memoir I'm working on now actually discusses this about the way we change in life. And my first 2 decades as an adult, from 20 to 40 or 19 to 39, I was an actress / waitress. So I came to LA from Seattle, and I was doing TV commercials and print modeling and all that. And then, of course, in acting jobs or acting lessons, and dating and marrying the wrong guys and all of this stuff, the drama that you do. And then I also lived in Chicago in my 30s and did the same thing. And then, but I ended up working in restaurants more than acting. I'd get a couple or 2-3 jobs a year, and I was just like, I can't. And most of it's very interesting because this whole, I do the coaching and stuff. I know that looking back, if I would have put as much energy as trying to date and find a man as I did into the acting stuff, I probably would, be Meryl Streep or something, but I had my priorities all messed up. But, that's live and learn in our adventures. And all of that. But at 39, my father was dying of a terminal cancer, and I was very close to him. I was living in Chicago. He was in Orange County, California. I rushed to be with him, and he passed away very fast, but within a week of me moving back, or 3 days of me moving back. I was just devastated. And there I was, this little, I had lost like all this weight. I was like this little skeleton of a thing, and I moved, I got a little apartment in Hollywood because I'd lived in Hollywood before, and I was all alone and devastated and wasn't working too much. I was doing a little acting and stuff, and my money was dwindling. And I said to myself, Marla, you better go get a restaurant job. And I'd sit on my front stoop of my apartment with my little teacup Yorkie, and I could not get my butt off that stoop to go apply for a restaurant job. I'm like, I cannot put on a waitress apron one more time. I can't do it. I never wanted to be a waitress. I was never happy with it, but it provided a certain flexibility and income to do the other stuff that I like to do, which was travel and the acting and all of that. But I'm like, there's got to be something else for me. And I'd pray and I'd go to church and light candles and, God, please, I don't know what else I can do, but all I've studied is acting and French and dance. I mean, what can I do? And my now husband, who I was dating, happened to have a friend who was taking over the management position at a video dating service in LA. And she said, hey, Marla, I'll hire you, part-time, and you can do, you be the videographer and do the videos, because back then it was those VHS tapes and you'd make a video of the people and then they'd come in and watch it. And you can still go on your auditions. And so I did that. I moved in with my now husband, so I didn't have to pay rent for a little while. And I worked part-time. And I thought, you know what, these people, it was very interesting. I liked helping them. I liked hearing their story. There was people that would come in that had lost their spouse after 50 years of marriage and to cancer. And I'd sit there and cry with them and try to help them find a new person. And then I started taking notes because I thought I want to write a book, a dating advice book, because I'd hear things that they tell me and in the interviews for the videos and stuff. So anyway, I kept some notes on the side. In the meantime, after a year and a half, that didn't work out. There was a problem with the management and stuff. So I left. I answered an ad in the Backstage West, which was an actor's magazine. And it said, they had gigs, and it said talent scout, fun job, Beverly Hills. And I thought, I don't know what that is, but I'll go check it out. And my friend Fran, who was like my mom's age, she was like my mother. She goes, don't do it. It's a scam. Don't go. And I says, well, what do you mean? I said, why not? I can check it. Don't, I know it's a scam. And I didn't listen to her. I said, I'm going to go. I walked in. It was a high-end matchmaking company, like a millionaire matchmaking company, where the men had a lot of money and they paid, but they wanted gorgeous like goddesses, to go out with, but they wanted them for marriage or long-term relationships. So they hired me as a recruiter. So I was recruiting all these beautiful women. They liked my work. So they asked me if I wanted to work in the office. And I said, I'm an actor. I'm a waitress. I don't work in offices. I don't know how to do this Excel spreadsheets, or I don't know how to work in an office. And they said, no, you don't need those skills. And my people skills, and I'm a Gemini, so I'm very, it's communication, it's all of that. So the skills that I had were perfect for it, because I would, put people together. I would call people. I didn't need any of those fancy computer skills or anything. And I ended up staying there for 7 years. I became the head matchmaker, running the multinational city, enterprise. And in 2009, I ended with the recession in full swing. I ended up walking out of the job. It was like a take this job and shove it. It's in my second book, Hearts on the Line. If anybody wants to see what happened, it's kind of juicy. But I ended up leaving, and my husband, who is very practical and very responsible about money and everything, he was like waiting for me at the door when I walked in. It was like dead man walking up to the door. I was like, oh my God. He goes, are you insane? In the middle of the recession, leaving a good job in Beverly Hills with your own office and health insurance? What are you thinking? I said, well, I couldn't help it. And anyway, I just decided to stay very calm. And I prayed and did all my spiritual stuff, my meditations and my affirmations, and I did apply for some. This is interesting because I applied for some jobs on Craigslist. I mean, they were low paying jobs, $8 an hour, $10 an hour, but I thought just to do something to bring in a little money to get going, they were perfect jobs for me. One was at a youth hostel in Hollywood. I know the area. I speak a few languages. One was at a little wedding chapel. I thought, what could be more perfect? Nobody would call me back. But that's because the universe had something bigger in mind for me. Uh, about 3 months into it, guys that I'd worked with for 7 years, they started tracking me down, the men, the millionaires. And then, what are you doing? I want to work with you. Are you doing anything? Are you matching? And first I was like, oh, I don't know if I want to do this, because what if somebody complains? I don't have a boss to refer them to. I don't know I've never had my own business. And my husband said, Marla, you know how to do this in your sleep. You can do this. Just do it. And I got up my gumption, went down to Orange County, signed up a guy that was not an easy guy. He was one of the more difficult ones because he was older, he was short, and he was not very good looking. And of course, he wanted the most gorgeous younger women. And I was like, oh my God. And I said, Marla, you're going to have to do it. Your funds are almost non-existent. And I signed him up. I think it was $6,000. And I was on the way home. I had that check, and I was like, "Oh my God! If I'm careful, I can live on this for 2 or 3 months." I was like, I was ecstatic. And then I did it. I got the girls, because I knew a lot of girls for years and years. Got them in the database, for free, and started building it up. And every month, guys started calling me and signing up, and I was so happy. I made more money working on my own in the corner of our apartment in my yoga pants on my own schedule than I did going in every day to Beverly Hills 5 days a week. And it's interesting because as I got older, I was in my 40s. I was 47 when I left. And as the testosterone probably starts going up when we get older, I started getting resentful of my boss only working 4 days a week, and me having to ask, oh, can I come in late? I need to go get a mammogram, or, like a little kid, and only getting 2 weeks vacation a year. So I started getting kind of resentful. Now, of course, it was his business. He had every right to work only for it. But I realized it was time for me to really step into what I needed to do. And one of my friends who is a spiritual practitioner, she says, Marla, the universe had to pry you out of that job so that you could, fully be what you meant to be. So, I did that. And okay, yeah, I'm blabbing on and on.
Yeah. So
Interject.
explain what you do. You've alluded to it a little bit. How does this differ from, I think some people, and I'm sure you've gotten this over the years, they're saying, so are you running an escort service, or what is that? What is it that you're doing? How do you find your clients? How do you find the gals that you match to your clients? Back up a little bit and tell us just the nuts and bolts.
So matchmaking is pretty popular now. I mean, it's been pretty popular for the past, decade or so, or personalized matchmaking, where we're kind of expensive. I mean, we're in the thousands, right, for a membership, because we do all the work. So a gentleman, we get a lot of real estate developers, attorneys, surgeons, businessmen who will want to find, most of our guys are 50 plus, so it's a little older, 50s, 60s, and 70s for us. And maybe they're divorced or whatever, and they'd love to find a partner. They'd love to get remarried or find the love of their life, but they don't want to go on Match.com or what, or any of these sites. They don't have time, or they've tried it and it was too exhausting, or they just felt like, oh, it's too much work, or maybe people weren't, they lied about their age or their height or their weight or whatever. And it's like, oh, I just want this work to be done for me. And so they'll hire us. I have a wonderful business partner. Her name's Fredley. She's in San Diego. And so they'll sign up, and we'll find out all about them. If they're in Southern California, I'll go to their house. I'll see their lifestyle. If they're in another state, we also have a guy in Mexico, but I'll FaceTime or Skype and get to know them, and then find out what they're looking for. What kind of lady, what areas will they date, what age range, what maybe religion, or are they, do they like horses because the guy has horses, or some of them have a plane. Will they go in a small plane? We go all these details, and then we search and hand match everybody. And I even play concierge for them. If they're, I can set up the date, call the restaurant. All they have to do is show up. So it's so great for busy guys. We just have a new couple in a relationship now. The guy lives in Philadelphia, the girl's in San Diego. He says, I'm going to jump on a plane and go see her. Well, they're flying back and forth. So um, it's just really rewarding. It's really fun. The women, because I was in the business so long, I knew hundreds of women already, and I just contacted them and said, do you want to be in my database? And now women will come to me through my website, through reading my books, through my podcast, through their friends, through people I meet. If any, I meet somebody and they say, oh, I have a friend. There's like probably 12 ways people come to me. And the women can be in the database for free. So we do, it is like a headhunter for men is what we do.
Do you do background checks on the men and the women? Do you have special requirements that they have to meet before from a safety standpoint, how does that work? How do you handle that part of the equation?
Yeah, good question. Before we sign them up, they have to go through a lot of conversations first with my business partner, Beverly. She's the one who screens them and determines whether they're a good fit for us. So they'll be sending pictures, they'll be having conversations, and all of that. And then if we think we're a good fit and they want to sign up, then they meet me. And a guy who just wants, is not on the up and up, is not going to go through all this time and trouble and expense. They would probably just go online. So there's occasionally, I'll do a background check if a guy, this has happened a lot lately, where they'll say like I'm 52 and they're really 62, or they say they're 60 and they're 68, and I can tell, and I'm like, I don't want to lie. I'm honest. I'm not going to tell a guy is a decade younger, or vice versa. I think everything should be honest. And so when I have the suspicions, instead of hurting his ego, I'll just go, do a little digging and find out, and then deal with that at the time. But, the guys who have a lot of money and they're paying a lot of money for a service tend to want, younger than them women. So that sometimes they think, well, I better fudge about my age if I want to get in that bracket. But that's where a lot of the coaching comes in, and trying to get people. It's a lot of managing expectations too. And women can be the same way. They want a rich guy, or they want a guy 6 feet and up, or they want a guy, it could be that way too. But the mystical part, I started really delving into my spiritual journey and practice at a deeper level in 2013 with my friend, one of my BFFs, her name's Julie too, and she's a celebrity ghostwriter and lives down the street, and we're really good friends. And we started taking classes all over Los Angeles. I wrote my spiritual memoir, The Buddha Made Me Do It, about this adventure. And so I started learning crystal healing and energy work, and through these energetic attunements, I was able to connect with my angel and channel it. And then I started learning oracle cards and tarot cards, and I would just have been loving it so much. It balances out the shallowness that can be in the world of matchmaking, which is not me. I'm really very down to earth, and so it would be kind of tough at times. So I'll sometimes even give energy treatments to my clients, or use my intuition and bring that in when I can. Some of the men are open to it, some not. The women are a lot more woo-woo, and so I started doing some fun things like I was telling you about, the love reading, where it's an hour of coaching, where I'll, look at the cards. I'll maybe channel an angel. I'll talk about whatever the woman is dealing with dating that she wants to talk about, and also maybe do some energy work, balance the chakras and stuff like that. So it's because I just find, just talking to people and giving them plain dating advice, this is, don't talk about your ex on a date, or it just was getting too, I don't know. It just, I like to add some magic to everything, I guess, and it was getting a little bit too done, I felt. Yeah.
Well, as I mentioned when we first started this conversation, I know that in cultures, matchmaking's been a thing. It's just in the last 100 years, maybe 150 years, where we've gone to the place where we have to meet our soulmate, and you date and you do all of that. I mean, it's always been look at royalty. It was the merging of powerful families
Right.
with assets, families with land, that kind of thing. I had a business partner in one of my companies who was from India. He grew up in Bombay. It was called Bombay at the time, and Mumbai now. And he and his wife, and they'd been married, gosh, 30 years by the time I met them. They were set up by a matchmaker, and he had two daughters. One was a physician, and the other one, I believe, was a physical therapist. The physician met and married somebody on her own. The physical therapist wanted to be set up with somebody.
Mm-hmm.
And so they went through a matchmaker in India, interestingly enough, who knew several families that had children or grandchildren, grandsons in the US, and they found one who had all these educational, wonderful background from an educational and a business standpoint, and she married him, and that was 20 years ago. So
Right.
I know that we look at this, perhaps some of us, and we think, what? Oh my gosh, that's just for people with money, but it's not necessarily the case. My God, Hello Dolly, that whole movie is all about matchmaking, and certainly we talked about Fiddler on the Roof too. So I think it's been around for a long time. How do you think that it has changed over the years? It used to be more about the joining of families, and now is it that your clients are looking for a companion? Are they looking for a wife? Is it
Well, we
both?
we only take on clients who want either a long-term relationship or marriage. We don't
Okay.
have to say they have to get married, because some people are 60 or 70 years old. Maybe they've done that and they just would like to have, a companion, a love interest,
Hmm.
So, but most of them do want to get married, and a lot of them want kids, and we have had younger guys. We've had guys in the 30s and 40s, but lately, the last year or two, it's shifted to really 50 plus. And I do like working with that age range a lot, because they really are serious and kind of know more what they want. But what I see is, why do we have such a high divorce rate? Why do, when people, we match them up or they meet wherever, it doesn't seem to stick? Because people are mistaking soulmate and perfect match on how hot the other person looks, on height,
Oh.
on youth, on, do they have their, oh, he doesn't have, he's balding, I could never be with somebody like that, or her breasts are too small, or she, oh no, 5'9", forget it. So people are really, I was watching on, there's this Facebook page, and something about kids, I can't remember, but it's all these people there. This guy interviews people with autism, or this guy who completely got all burned, or different disabilities, or different, and there's these couples on there, that some of them are married couples. I think one had Down syndrome, one had autism, and this other woman who all her bones break, like she's broken 200 bones, she has some kind of disease, and this other woman, they're a lesbian couple, just loved her. Oh, I looked in her eyes and I just knew it was my partner. And then the woman proposed while she was laying in the hospital bed, and they're happy. And I'm looking at these people, I'm thinking, they're going to the essence of the spirit. They're going to the person, the soul. Now, I understand humans, we're shallow, we like sparkly things. We get attracted to things, but I think we've shifted so far out of what's the person's qualities, their values, um, the core there. They're brushing people off by swiping left or right based on how someone looks, and if a picture doesn't really turn them on, they'll pass. And this is what I see is the problem now. So I think with the arranged marriages, they're really, the families are looking, what's the education? Is it a good family? Do they have good values? And then hopefully they'll grow to love each other, but it comes from the other way around. And it seems like those have a better chance of lasting, those relationships, because looks don't last. I mean, hey, I was a 10, when I was in my 20s and 30s, and now it's like, just don't even show me a mirror. Things just change. It's just the
Hardly.
way, I mean, it's the way it is,
Hardly,
so.
hardly. Well, and I think too that your point about that you prefer to work with an older client, perhaps they've been down that road and they understand, okay, there really is more to life than just a pretty face. Do you find that the men who are older that you're saying you're enjoying working with are more along those mindsets than the younger women? who are looking for a partner, or do you find that there's much difference between the sexes when it comes to that? You mentioned the word shallow. Are some more,
Well,
you know?
we are. I just, we have a shallowness, of course. It's just the way. And well, see, men, as I'm sure people are listening, they know that men are visual. So in order for a man to get sexually excited, he has to like what he sees. To get an erection, he has to like, that's the way it is. So that's the issue there. It's biological. Whereas a woman, it's more romance. How is he treating me? Is he bringing me flowers? Is he smart? Is he, can he provide? He could maybe, as I see the women in the 20s are more interested in the hot guy. And then they say, oh, well, I've just been dating bad boys, because the really, really good looking guys get women thrown at them all the time. And so they tend to be more the heartbreakers. And then as the women, I notice they start getting older, because I've been doing this for, almost 20 years. And as they get into the 30s and then 40s, they're like, well, he doesn't have to be that hot. And I just want a nice guy, because I've been dating guys who've been cheating on me or narcissists, or so I just want a good guy, honest, with a sense of humor. If he had, hair and all his teeth, that would be great. Or, but they're not as, worried about the looks. Whereas the guys, even when they get older, they're still, because they don't feel like they've aged. Inside of us, we still feel 25, 35, whatever. So they still think, well, I'll still date younger. Now, I don't take a guy. If a guy is 60 and he says, I want to date 30-year-olds, we're not signing him up. It's just not feasible. But, 10 years younger or something, that's all right. It does get me. Sometimes I do get like, I feel upset about it. It's like, why do the women have to date 10 or 20 years older? The guys wouldn't do that. That's not fair. I get upset that I've got to work with the dynamic that I've got. And I like working with them just because, they're at a great place in their life, and they're serious about it. And maybe they've already done the kid thing and stuff, and they're retired and they just want to travel and have a, wonderful travel companion and a great life. And it's just, it's really nice. And especially if somebody's lost their partner to an illness or hurt, divorce, I love being able to help them find love again.
Mm-hmm. What about when you're dealing with these men who are successful, obviously, if they can afford you? Do you find that it's more of they're approaching it from a business mindset, that they just want something that's efficient? They want, like you said, the work done for them. And how can that parlay into just the average person who's looking for love? Are there some nuggets of wisdom that you can share that you've learned over the years of, okay, here's why this works for these men, because we come at it from maybe a formulaic point of the equation versus let's just see who I meet and see how I feel. There's more of a purpose or like a goal setting kind of a thing. And is there a way that some of the techniques or the methodologies that you use in your matchmaking business can help people who can't afford to do that, or who aren't a woman who's a 30-year-old, 15 on a scale from 1 to 10?
Well, we do take women even into the early 60s, right? Because we have all really, so if you're a woman out there, you can contact me and be in the database. So yeah, the guys, we do have to tell them sometimes this isn't, because they'll come at the dating like business, and we're like, this isn't business. If somebody doesn't call them back right away, it's like, well, women have, maybe they've got kids, they've got a job, so please give them 48 hours. We kind of have to train them, because they're like, well, this is, I hired you, and this, you should be doing this, this, and this. So we kind of have to shift them into like, let's separate it from business, because they're like, these are guys who are really good in business, but sometimes not so good with dating or relationships. So we get them help there. And yeah, we are a specialty service. We're not for everybody. So it's kind of like we're a luxury service. Like some people can afford somebody to clean their house or detail their car or whatever. So we do. But there's, online services. There are lower end dating services, introduction services. I think getting some coaching and getting ready and knowing, do you have anything to clear out emotionally? Are you over your ex? Are you still bitter? Doing some law of attraction stuff. What frequency are you at? Are you really ready? Some people get burned out and bitter from dating online. Like they'll go on 100 coffee dates and then just like, and it's just that it's not going to work out. It's not going to work out. So you want to make sure your mindset is right and happy and having fun. Um, and know what, you can get a professional to write your bio, your online profile too. You got to, and getting good pictures. The pictures that I see people send me, or the pictures I see online, are sometimes and the people are attractive people, but the angles or the glasses or hats or side views or, other people in them, they're just not good. And I always offer this, if anybody wants to go to my website, it's marlamartenson.com, and you can contact me there and send me your photos, and I'll for free take a look at them and give you my opinion or help you out with it. I love doing that, so I'm happy to do that.
So are you finding that I know you're segmented with the business that you're in, but are you finding that most people are utilizing online dating now, and that's
Yes,
how they're finding their partners? And I've heard from young people that are in their 20s and 30s that they think that it's a good idea because it does clear up a lot of the wants and goals and all of that. Like if somebody's not interested in dating a person with children, then
right,
okay, let's weed that out up front. If somebody, like you said, is looking for a partner in a certain religion or in a certain geographic location, that helps with that too. Are you finding that that's really where our society has gone in how dating is happening for the most part? Do you have any percentages that you can
I don't have
tell us about?
percentages, but I know that a lot of people now, they're working from home. We've got this traffic now. Los Angeles is hard because it's so big. And I'll have a guy who lives in Santa Monica who won't date a girl in Hollywood because it's too, with traffic, it could take me an hour and a half. And that Hollywood to Santa Monica is not far, but the traffic's gotten so bad that people are saying they want to stick in their area. Well, that's pretty challenging for me because not only does, she's got to be a certain age range, and then all of his criteria, plus live in that area. And, so it gets, but that's what I'm paid for. Right. So I do that, but it's this geographic thing has gotten tough. Now, one thing that people can do that I think is great is set up a FaceTime or a Skype video chat as a date. If you're in it's like rush hour, whatever, you want to have a drink, pour yourself a glass of wine, put on something cute, and do a little video date and see if you even want to take it to the next step or go or fly to another city after that or drive, 2 hours, because it does get frustrating. If the guy has to drive from San Diego to Orange County or LA, it could take 2 or 3 hours and then it wasn't a fit. And then it's like, it took me 6 hours round trip just to go on this date. And this woman wasn't my type or something. So I do encourage, video chats now and stuff. We have really, it has changed with the traffic, with the people not, people working at home or the different jobs people have now. It's not like it used to be easy to meet someone at work or have a friend introduce you.
The other thing that I'm noticing is that it seems to me that there's a lot of dating by text.
Yeah.
And I'm a sorority advisor for one of the sororities at the University of Alabama, and there's 450 girls in the sorority.
Wow.
And I hear from my girls that they want to go out on a date, but the guy that they meet just wants to text with them and not necessarily get together and have a conversation. And to me, that's a red flag. That maybe he's like that movie, he's just really not that much into you, or just really not into you. But I think too that that's changing. And are you finding that that's the case too, that you're seeing there's more communication online instead of online or via phone than there is in person as far as talking? I hear my girls complain about guys that they're dating, and maybe this is just college guys, that they don't necessarily want to get together and have a conversation. They want to have a conversation via text, and it's all 1, 2, 3 sentence communications.
Yeah.
So are you finding any of that?
Yeah, people will do that. Now, one thing is most people won't pick up their phone anymore. So, or to have a conversation or somebody's busy. So now I tell the man, I give the man her phone number and his. I said, program his number into your phone so you know it's him when he contacts you. Then I tell him to give her a text, introduce yourself, and ask her when's a good time to talk. And you have to set up an appointment, a date to talk. And then, or I'll say, forget that. Let me just set up a date and you guys show up. Because people will just be doing phone tag or text tag. So I have to really get them focused and, say, I know you guys are busy, but offer 3 nights that you're available. Which ones are you? You got to because sometimes it'll go back and forth. Oh, how are you? Fine. What? Oh, a long day. It's like, no, I can't wait to meet you. Are you free Friday, Saturday, or Sunday? Oh, okay, great. Lock
Yeah.
it down. And then the women need to train the guys not to do that. So don't engage in it. Say, you know what? I'm really excited to get to know you. I'm available, at 5, 6, or 7 to get on a phone call or meet you at Starbucks for a coffee. But if you keep engaging like that, then the guy's going to say, "Oh, send me a picture of you." That they do that a lot, and then they want you to send pictures, and then the girl sends these goofy pictures of selfies with their lips puffed out like a duck or whatever, and then the guys are like, "Oh, forget it. I don't want to meet her. She looks crazy, or it's not my type." So those photos again, we think our photos look so great, but we don't see ourselves as other people do. It's so interesting. Like the photos people will send me, I'm like, I can't send these photos out to somebody. They're going to say no. It's not good. So even have a friend take their iPhone and take some really nice shots of you somewhere in front of some background, or pay the $100 for a professional to take some nice shots, because it's really that first impression is so important. People will pick you based on a photo at first, because if they like what they see, then they'll look at the rest, the bio, and do they have the rest of the things I'm looking for. So I would see a lot of people missing out on the right person because of some bad photos, which is a shame and frustrating, but I see that too.
Well, and I find that people look at other people's social media as well as
Yes,
not
yeah.
just the dating sites. They'll see somebody on a dating site and then they'll go check out their Instagram or their Facebook
Yes.
and check all that out. And with that having been said, what are your suggestions for people who are looking to meet someone special? What do you suggest they do as far as their social media? Are there pointers that you can give us as far as have this on there, but don't put this kind of stuff on there or anything
Yeah,
along
like
those lines?
some people leave pictures up with their ex or something. They're, looks like they still have a boyfriend, or looks like they're out every night partying and drinking. They'll put up all these pictures, or guys who have practically all women friends on Facebook. I'll notice a woman will say he has all women. What is he, a player? Or yeah, so you want to keep that in mind. Just like if you're going for some top job, maybe a government job or something important, you got to be careful what you post on social media, right? Because they're going to go look at it and say, "Oh my God, this person is, into devil worshiping," or whatever. Whatever they're going to see, or like all the shots of a woman are all just cleavage, the only thing covered is her nipples. It's like, whatever. You just got to be, we have to be so careful what we're putting out there. It's unfortunate that everything's monitored, and we just have to be a little bit more careful.
And sometimes you can't, they say once it's out there, you can't get it back.
Right.
You think you're taking it down, but it's still available.
Yeah.
And it's still out there. Have you had any people who've gotten married
Oh,
that you've
yes.
put
Yeah.
together? And tell us
Hundreds.
about that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hundreds.
Yeah. Because
Hundreds.
when I was at the matchmaking service, we had a lot of clients. So there was a time when I had like 170 clients at a time. I mean, we had a lot. So every year we had many, many people getting married. Now with my own service, we keep about a dozen guys at a time. So it's less, but yeah, we've got the couple in that I just mentioned, the guy in Philadelphia they're dating. We have about 4 couples in relationships right now. We had a guy back Midwest get married. So yeah, and then what I love too is when they get married, and then like a couple of years later, I get a little picture of a baby in my inbox, in my email, and get to see that, and then they send me their friends, which is great. So it depends. Like people will say, well, what's your success rate? And it really depends on the person. So if somebody comes to me and expects, well, I'm paying you, so you better find me Heidi Klum, or they're very, very stringent and very picky and turn down a lot of people and all of that, and don't want to do any work on themselves, they're probably not going to get into a relationship. But somebody who trusts me on who I suggest, gets a little coaching, is really serious, then they'll most likely get into a great relationship. So it's like a co-creation. I always say I'm not a magician. I'm a matchmaker. So, we have to do some work as well. The singles, you got to do that.
Do you find that when the marriages result from you putting a couple together, that they have a different success rate than just a random marriage? Do you find that
we have had, yeah.
Because you've looked at really what they have in common, what their interests are, and things like that, and how important is that as those of us who are out there that are dating that can't afford a matchmaking service, but they're dating and maybe they're meeting somebody online and they think, okay, I'm just going to feel how it feels to be with them. Well, great. Well, how important are those similarities and similar interests and that kind of thing?
Yeah, well, first of all, we have had people get married and then get divorced and then come back and sign up again. So, it's just like in real life. There's probably a 50% divorce rate. It happens as well. As far as similar, I think more similar values, kind of lifestyles is more important. You don't have to have every hobby the same. My husband loves soccer and this and that, and I love, working with my crystals and tarot cards or whatever. He doesn't, and he's not into that. So we have our own interests, but then there's things you do want to have some common things. If you both like to travel, or you both like art, or you both like wine tasting, you got to have a few things that you want to do together. But you don't have to. I like going off with my girlfriends to go to a spiritual workshop or an event or something, and then he goes and does something with his friends. I think that's healthy. You don't want to have to do every single thing the same, but things like we'll weed through. A lot of guys will say they're allergic to cats. Now I wonder if they just don't like cats, or they're using that allergic thing to rule them out. But I'll hear that a lot: allergic to cats. So I'll have to screen that out. No, the girl doesn't have a cat, but so things like that. But you could be your own matchmaker. People can really just look for those things online, or question. You have to know. My friend Susan Allen, who's a wonderful coach, she says it's about finessing the conversation. So you want to have that first conversation where you're getting that information, like, so Bob, I know that you're a high level attorney, and the hours must really be, it must have been hard for you to date and to fit that in, or things that you want to know. You can ask in a way that you're getting that information. Or gosh, I know divorce is tough, and you've got 2 little kids. I mean, I can imagine that could be stressful. Or so then you kind of open it up, instead of just saying, so why'd you get a divorce? Or tell me about, you want to finesse it in a certain way, and you can find these things out. That's what dating's for, the conversation. One little thing I like to tell people that I see people keep doing is that thing about the ex. Like, they'll come right out, well, what didn't work about your last relationships? Or tell me about your ex. And then the person goes on for half an hour or an hour. And then the other person says, oh, well, they're not over their ex, or they're bitter. Well, and then I said, well, why did you do that? And they say, well, they asked. So you kind of have to know how to kind of smooth by it there, and just have your 60-second answer, and then move on to something interesting, like, well, what places are on your bucket list to visit? Or what's your favorite wine? Or what books do you read? So it's more about discovering their interests and fun topics than talking about their dating disasters or a divorce, or what medication they're on, or whatever, so what their last surgery was. Or that's what, like, my mom, she lives in a 55 plus community where most people are like 70s and 80s and 90s, and they'll have these community dinners and stuff, and everybody will start talking about their surgeries and medications, and my mom's like, not at the table, I don't want to hear about anybody's surgeries or illnesses at any time. So
I have a friend whose dad is deceased now, but he used to call that, he used to say, when you get a bunch of old people together and they're talking about all their aches and pains, he said it's like, he called it the organ recital. They're all talking about their
Yes.
organs, which I thought was hilarious. So, back to advice for people who are listening that are just hardworking, average people that don't have millions and can't afford your services. What are the top 2 or 3 things that you would recommend to them if they're looking for love and looking for a partner? How
Yeah,
what are the top, so let's say top 3 things, A, B, C, D, that you would recommend that they do in
sure.
order to help them find love?
Well, and most people are just average, most it's not everybody's not a rich and famous or a model. I mean, it's very small amount. So, just the average Joes like all of us, we're all getting in relationships and out there dating and having a great life. So I don't want anybody to think, "Oh, I have to be this or that." No, absolutely not. All sizes, all shapes, all heights, all ages are finding love. And I think the a big thing is self-love. Love yourself. Do that self-work worth. If you don't feel that you're worthy of being loved or having somebody, that's going to translate into that frequency and keep people away. So everybody, I mean, just look around, go to the mall, go to the DMV, and see there's people of all types. It doesn't matter what kind of person you are. You're human. You've got a heart, you've got a soul. You can find a soulmate. And yeah, be out there, let people know you're looking. Speed dating events, those aren't expensive. You can see if there's any of those in your
What's
town.
that? What's a
Oh,
speed
oh,
dating
speed
event?
dating. I always wanted to try that when I was single, but way back 20 years ago, they had when I was in Chicago were Jewish speed dating events, and I wasn't Jewish, so I never got to try it. But I know people who hold them, and that's where maybe you'll pay $25 or whatever, and you show up, and let's say they've got 20 men and 20 women around the same age group, and then you each get 5 minutes. I'll say all the women will be sitting in a row at chairs, and then the men will go from woman to woman or whatever, rotate, and you get 5 minutes with each person. After you've talked to each person, at the end, they write down the name they want of the person they want to see again or get to know more. And if both people had written each other's names, then the head of it will put them together, connect them. And I always thought that sounded like a lot of fun. Going to some mixers, but when you go to these things, don't be aware of your energy. Are you thinking, okay, I'm here to meet my soulmate, and scrutinizing everybody as that? I would say just your general energy when you're out there dating, you're meeting a new person. Be generally interested in them, and just have a good time. And that's when you're going to be more relaxed. And if that person's not right for you, maybe one of your girlfriends is, or maybe their friend. I don't think there's any downside in meeting new people if you have the time to get out there and do it. You could even get a new job. I mean, I knew a girl in my apartment building years ago. I matched her with a guy. They didn't turn out as love interests, but he got her this great job. And one day she had always been a struggling like actress with no money. One day she's pulling out of her parking space in a brand new Mercedes. I'm like, Monica, what's going on? She goes, oh, that guy you matched me with? We didn't have a love connection, but he got me this great job. I just ordered this Mercedes from Germany. It just came off the boat. Like, she was like, thrilled. So you never know what could happen.
That's right. And I find too that when you meet somebody new, if you ask them questions and get them talking about themselves, especially in the
Yes.
first couple of times, and be genuinely interested. I mean, don't do it as a ploy, but be genuinely interested. That a lot of the time that person will feel like you are just so fabulous and you think, I didn't really even talk about myself, but you were interested in them. And I
Yeah.
find that we all want somebody interested in us. That's why we all long to be loved, because we want somebody that values us and is interested in us, and we can do that. Along the lines of soulmates, do you think everybody has just one soulmate?
No, I don't. I think we travel in soul groups, and there's people from maybe from past lives that work, you know, s- uh, in a relationship with again. I mean, think about it. If you moved, like I've been married 3 times, if I was single now and I moved to New York or to Europe or London or Mexico or wherever, I'm sure there'd be some guys there that I'd love to go out with, or that I get in a relationship or marry. Just think of how many partners are all around the world that would be a great fit, that we'll never get to meet. And so I think that soulmate thing, people get a little bit too um, hooked up on. I think instead of thinking I have to find my soulmate, think of I want to find a great partner. I want to find a best friend. I want to find a really good connection. And I think our spirit guides and angels will bring people together again, and they come around in our um, life. And my pets, my Macy, she's one of my soulmates too. our animals. So yeah.
I agree. I think that everybody that's in our orbit, our family, our friends, we're all soulmates with them.
Hmm.
I think there are such things as romantic soulmates, but I don't
Yeah.
believe that there's just one for every person. I
Wouldn't that
believe
be
that
awful?
there's,
Gosh, you get one
oh, I
shot, or you
know.
never meet them, or they die early, or something happens. My God, that would be so tragic.
Exactly.
Like, that's
Exactly.
it.
Speaking of angels and spirit guides helping with the dating
Yes.
equation, what do you recommend along those lines? Do you tap into people's angels and spirit guides when you're
Mhm.
matchmaking them and have a
Oh,
conversation with them, or get information from them or guidance from them about matching certain people together? Or do you feel that it's just an intuitive thing that comes into your head and you think, oh, I need to match Mary with Bob? Or
yeah. I don't. When I'm matchmaking, I don't tap into any of that. It's for me. There, I have to get all the basic shallow stuff up front first. Is he going to like her looks? Is she the right age range? Does she want kids or does she not want kids? Is she Jewish or is she a Republican, or is she, in Los Angeles? Or I have to get so many. Sometimes there's even 10 things I have to line up that fit just around location and age range. And sometimes a guy, oh, I really just love brunettes or whatever, so you want to get there, that kind of. Sometimes I feel like I'm Dr. Frankenstein building this woman, but but there's all that. So first I got to get that, and then when I say, okay, oh, I have 5 ladies that would all fit this parameter now, then I'll look in. Okay, he's got horses. Oh my God, she loves horses, or she has a horse, or I'll look, and oh, he wants somebody who will enjoy a nice glass of wine. So oh my God, she's a sommelier, or she loves wine too. So I get into those details after I get the basics first, and then I got to look at lifestyle and would they be a good fit this way or that way. Um, so I don't. It's like I can't really. Now, once in a while, one time I did get this hit. I met this new guy joined, and I was like, oh my God, I know exactly who is right for you. And it was this woman, and I put them together, and they did get married. And it was, that one was just, I just knew it. Um, but usually it's a lot more, work going through details.
more, it's like you have an algorithm that
Yeah,
you
yeah.
have
My
to
algorithm in my
plug
brain,
it
I'm like,
in.
okay,
Yeah, you got an
yeah.
algorithm and you're playing
But it's a
praying
lot of
for
fun.
them.
It is so much fun, and challenging, but it's very unique job and rewarding.
I bet. Well, as we're heading into the holidays, we all want to have somebody special to share the holidays
Yeah.
with. And do you have any suggestions along those lines? How how we can meet someone if we're looking for a partner, or is there something that you find that is kind of different about the holidays than other times of the year, because there's always a special feeling at the holidays. I know some people suffer because they're lonely at the holidays,
Yeah.
but do you find on the opposite end of the spectrum that there's perhaps something that is love is in the air or something along those lines during the
Yeah. I
holidays? And you
think
have
it
any suggestions along those lines?
I think it has a certain kind of energy to it because so many people are hoping to meet somebody. So I would say, and then a lot of people, well, with me, it's a slow time of year because so many of my clients are traveling. It seems like everybody's traveling. Right now, a couple of them have the flu, so it's like it's cold out there in certain parts of the, um, country. But yeah, get out there. Like for me, I'm going to 3 holiday parties already I've got lined up that I've been invited to. Tonight I'm going to a book signing. I mean, I'm not single, but if I was, this is a great way to meet people out there. Go to a lecture, and for ladies, think of some things. Where do guys like to go? If you like sports, there's going to be a lot of guys there. Different things that probably like yoga. Now, guys, if you want a nice, calm spiritual girl, go to some of these sound baths or yoga or breathwork classes, or they're just filled with women, and women who care about their bodies and who are kind of aware and interesting. So there's kind of you can kind of strategically think about, okay, where do I think the type of person that I'm going to want to meet might be, and align yourself like that. Now, there's a website called meetup.com, and they've got it all over the United States, and you can go on Meetup, and they have not only singles events that you could go to, but maybe they've got a hiking group, or if you want to learn French, or going to wine tastings, or meditation. And when you're going to something you're interested in like that, there's going to be other like-minded people there. So I think meetup groups are great.
Well, what I keep hearing from you is get out of your house and go do stuff, which I think is going to be fun, not only to meet a potential partner, but also just to meet all kinds of people. And you just don't know what kind of opportunities are going to arise. Like your girlfriend that went out on a date with this guy, but it wasn't right for the romantic side of the equation, but he helped her get a job. And that's what I'm hearing.
And one thing, a little challenge I like to tell people to do is, if they're online, if they're on Tinder or those swiping ones or whatever, if let's say you're going on 4, 5, 6 dates a month, 10% or maybe 1 or 2 a month, pick somebody that you wouldn't usually go out with, somebody shorter than usual, somebody that maybe is not your type, and just go to coffee with them, because you might be pleasantly surprised. It's going to open up the energetic channels there to the universe is going to see, oh, she's really serious. She's open.
That's a great idea.
Yeah.
All right. Well, in closing, how can people find you and learn more about your work?
My website is my name, Marla Martenson, MarlaMartenson.com, and everything's there. My coaching, my books, my matchmaking, radio show, everything. So
if somebody can't afford to do the matchmaking thing, but they'd like to hire you as a coach,
yes, I've got some options there. Sure.
And on your podcast, you talk about tips for meeting people and
it's called the Mystical Matchmaker, and I cover a variety of topics all about dating, relationships, love, magic, everything.
Wonderful. And I'll have all this information in the show notes too. So Marla, thank you so much. It's been really enlightening and so fun to get the opportunity to talk to you and hear from a professional who's putting people together in the love area and being so successful at it.
Thank you, Julie. Thanks.
And what a treat to have you on this show. And everybody, we'll do a live show next week. And until then, I hope you have a great weekend. I hope you had a wonderful Thanksgiving. And I'll talk to you next time. Take care, everybody. Bye now. One second. Let me get this off with the recording.
Thanks for joining us. Be sure to follow Julie on Twitter at AskJulieRyan and like her on Facebook at AskJulieRyan. For information on how you can ask Julie your question, please visit AskJulieRyan.com.